Hi, I'm Pete Schellenbach, culinary specialist with Vulcan. I'm coming to you today from the Vulcan Test Kitchen to talk to you about our line of range top options. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the modularity of the Vulcan ranges. We've talked in other videos about how they are modular both top and bottom, so top and base. We can have a refrigerated base, for example, or a convection oven or a still oven underneath. But today I want to talk about how many options we have for the range tops themselves. We've got a hot top here. We've got the open top range that you see, which is by far the most popular option. But then we can go even more specialized here with a French top combined with a charbroiler. We have so many options, and what that means is that you can configure a Vulcan range the exact way that is going to be perfect for your operation, so that if you need a certain top and a certain base, all you have to do is order it that way. But the important thing is to remember that with Vulcan, if your needs change over time, say different chef, different concept, you can actually change out the tops because they are so modular. So with all of those options, today we're going to focus on the hot top and the French top and charbroiler. All right, so I want to start off by discussing some of the features and benefits of the hot top. So the hot top, as you can see, is a smooth, even surface. It does have 3 different heating surfaces. If you'll notice, there's a hole in each that lets me look through and see if the pilot light is lit or not. You'll also know that this is not a thermostatic control, it is just a regular gas valve. What I get with the hot top is very even heat signature all the way across the entire surface. That's a benefit because it allows the chef to use odd size pans to be able to completely load this up. I can get 11, 12 pans onto this surface, depending obviously on the size of the pan. But I've got a surface that is going to provide the heat that I need to cook the food, regardless of the shape of the pan. We've all seen the menu trend or the trend in restaurants now where you'll serve food on the same pan that it was cooked in. And so you have some variety in the way that you plate, you need to have some variety in the pans that you're cooking on. And so I've got a whole lot of different options with this. These can get up to approximately 800 degrees, which is a pretty great temperature for searing, for browning. As we all know, the old adage, time cooks and temperature browns. Because I can get the temperature up so high on this piece of equipment, I can get great searing, great browning, great caramelization on things. This is not for direct food contact. This is not a griddle. It is not designed to have food placed directly on here. This is only for pans to go on. Think of this as a burner, is really what you have to think about it as. Another way to use the hot top is by stacking pans on it in one corner or one side. I have hot pans that are ready. That may not sound like a big deal, but when you are on a line, Friday night, Saturday night, orders are coming in like crazy, you honestly don't have time to take a cold pan and put it on an open burner and wait for it to heat up. By stacking pans already on this surface, those pans are already hot. That means that as soon as I pull one of those pans forward, I can immediately begin to cook on it. That cuts down on my production time. That means more table turns. That means more money. So the things I'm going to be cooking today, I'm going to be doing a flank steak that's going to be sliced out and served with chimichurri. That's going to be served with some sautéed sweet potatoes. I've got a vegetable dish that is zucchini and sufrito. I'm going to be doing roasted potatoes. I'm going to be doing some scallops, like a scallop appetizer, where I'm going to cook and serve those in the same dish. I'm going to be doing some grilled cheese in these little pans as another pan where I can cook and serve in the same vessel. So I put the vegetables on. You can see that it's already started to boil. That is, this pan or this hot top is extraordinarily hot. So the only thing that you have to do with it is just modulate your heat by moving your pans around. Remember that I can zone this, so I could turn one down if I needed to and have a cooler zone where, again, much like the French top or even that charbroiler, I have a zone where it's hotter and a zone where it's cooler so I can move the food to where I need it to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this steak and put a little oil in the pan. Got a marinated flank steak I'm gonna put in there. Let that start going. So I've got this pan hot. I'm gonna add some sweet potatoes to this pan, sauteing those in here, finishing those off. Those are gonna be the base for that steak. And start one of my grilled cheese. I've got a few of these to cook. So as I mentioned before, one of the advantages of this type of cooking is that I have the ability to use all sorts of different sizes and shapes of pans. Oil to that pan, do a little scallop appetizer here. I think I'll set up a second one right now. A little oil, like I said. And I'm gonna finish those scallops with a little bit of herb butter. 5 scallops for a little appetizer sized guy. I'm gonna check the sear on my flank steak, that's great. And turn that over. Check my potatoes, see how those are doing. Those are nice and dark, that's what I wanted. I want a nice roasted potato on here. So I'm gonna be able to go from here directly into a serving dish, so I'm gonna go do that right now. All right, my sweet potatoes are finished. Got a little sear on those. So the last item I'm finishing up right now is the flank steak. I'm gonna take that over to the cutting board, slice that, go to the plate with that. Then I'm gonna move on to the French top and the charbroiler. So today on the hot top, I did 5 separate dishes. Appetizer of seared scallops with herb butter. Side of vegetables, it's zucchini with Sufrito sauce. I did a side for sharing of roasted red skin potatoes, a small grilled ham and cheese sandwich, and I did an entree of grilled flank steak with sautéed sweet potatoes and chimichurri sauce. So this is a configuration of our range tops that is a classic French top and a charbroiler. The benefits of a French top are that I have zones. So I have 500 degrees out here at the edges. I can go as hot as 950 degrees in the center, assuming the valves are fully open. This is great because if I need higher heat for faster searing, things like that, I move a pan to the middle. It slides very easily across the surface, so I can get higher heat in the middle, and then as I need to slow that cooking down, I can pull it back away from the middle and calm that food down a little bit. This is a classic way of cooking. If I need even more heat, I can take this center ring out, this plate out, and go directly over the burner. The other benefit of that is that that would be a great shape to hold a wok, so I can do wok cooking on here as well. Then this is next to one of our Vulcan charbroilers. This charbroiler has 2 zones. You can see I've got a left and a right here, a left and a right. There is a divider plate between the 2 of them so that I can zone this left and right with slightly different temperature profiles. You can see this is configured right now to have a slight angle to it. I can turn those plates over and have it completely flat. The same way I can go high temperature here and move to a cooler temperature. I can go high temperature here and move to a cooler temperature. What that does for the chef is it gives them a little more versatility in the way that they're using the piece of equipment. And one thing that you might have noticed is that I'm standing in front of a range that is teal blue, which goes great with my eyes, as far as you know. The nice thing about this is it is powder coated over stainless steel. Now, that may sound like an irrelevant detail, but the point is that if that powder coat were to get nicked or scratched, because it has a stainless layer underneath it, it will not rust, and that's great. The other thing about this powder coating is that it could be changed in the field. Let's say you rebranded and suddenly you went from a teal restaurant to a maroon restaurant. Then we could change that panel for you if you needed to, or have it completely removed and just go back to stainless. So I'm gonna get started on the French top and the charbroiler, and the first thing I'm gonna do is a steak. Actually, what I'm gonna be making is a surf and turf, kind of a classic surf and turf. I'm gonna be grilling the lobster tails and grilling the asparagus that's gonna go with it. I'm gonna be making a 5-onion risotto and a New York strip. So I've got a little butter in my pan right here. I'm gonna add a strip steak to it. And as I mentioned, I can move it towards the center for high heat, which is where I wanna start out. I'm gonna put a nice sear on both sides of the steak, then I'm gonna move it to the side, add some garlic, add some rosemary to the pan, and then baste it in butter as it cooks. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm also gonna get a pan on for the risotto. Like most restaurants, I've par-cooked the risotto a little bit. I know purists would be very unhappy that I did that, but I par-cooked the risotto to make this final step of production a little faster. And then I'm gonna add some asparagus and some lobster tails, some small lobster tails to the charbroiler and do those. I'm gonna give the steak a second to get a head start on that. So that's what's going on right now. Just giving it a little gentle press to make sure I've got good contact on the bottom of my pan. So now I'm gonna add a little bit of risotto to this pan. And as I said, this is a 5-onion risotto. So I've already par-cooked the rice with 3 of my onions, with garlic, yellow onion, and leeks. And then the last 2 onions I'm gonna use are chives and green onion. I'm gonna move this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing with the steak. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the steak over here and take a quick look, see what kind of sear I've got. I've got a nice dark sear on that. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn that over. You can see how fast that sear happened. Now, I'm gonna add a little fresh butter to this pan, a clove of garlic, and a sprig of rosemary. Season that butter in the pan. And like I said, as this cooks, I'm gonna baste that butter up on top. And I'm gonna come over here to the charbroiler. Put my lobster tails down. The last thing I'm gonna do is the asparagus. I've got really fine, beautiful little pencil thin asparagus. And so that's gonna take almost no time to cook. So I'm gonna do that last. As I said, with this steak, I'm gonna be basting it with this butter. Make sure it stays nice and moist as it cooks evenly top and bottom. And at this point with this steak, I'm gonna move it back to a cooler area of the French top to finish cooking. Like I said, I can go 900 degrees in the center, 500 at the edges. You see I've got some herb butter already melted to brush on these things as they are finished. I'm gonna work on that risotto next. Got some heat in this now. Back onto the heat. Lovely. I'm gonna add my green onions now. I'm gonna turn my lobster tails on the grill. And again, give them a little press to make sure they're nice and flat so I've got good grill marks, good contact marks on there. Steak's moving along just fine. So my risotto is just about finished. I'm gonna pull that off to the side as well. My butter is melted. I can pull him off the heat completely. Move that risotto to the coolest spot I can get to. Take a look at my lobster tails. They've got some great little grill marks on there. I'm gonna brush those with some herb butter before we go to plate. I'm also gonna cook this backside just a little bit to make sure the underside of the meat is cooked. And lastly, I'm gonna add a little bit of green vegetable to my charbroiler, this little fine asparagus. At this point, I'm gonna go ahead and remove my steak from the heat completely to let it begin to redistribute its juice. So I'm gonna finish it with just a little bit of this herb butter right here. Put some of those herbs right up on top. Make it really beautiful. There we go. Okay. And so these are finished. One last little bit of heat on my steak. I'm a nice mid-rare at this point. I'm gonna move these around on the charbroiler to make sure I've got some grill marks and that they're being evenly cooked on my Vulcan charbroiler. You can see I've got great color there. I've got my asparagus, which is now completely cooked. I gather that. and take these over to the plate. So now that all the elements of my surf and turf is finished, I'm gonna go plate it and then we'll be able to serve it. Our dish here is the surf and turf with New York strip, 5-onion risotto, charbroiled lobster tails, grilled asparagus, and some drawn herb butter. Thanks for joining me today while I went over some of the options of the range tops that Vulcan has. You saw me cook a large variety of food using the hot top, using the French top, and the charbroiler. Those are just a few of the many configurations that we have at Vulcan with our ranges.
Hello, I am Chris Cook, the Business Development Manager for Vulcan Ranges. Vulcan's V-Series heavy-duty ranges are the most customizable range line on the market because of their modular design. In this presentation, Chef Pete demonstrates some of the many tops available in Vulcan's range line. He uses a French top, hot top, and charbroiler to create the delicacy shown today. Other top options available include open-top burners, griddle tops, and plancha tops. The ability to create a custom line that can be adapted to future menus makes the Vulcan line of range tops an attractive addition to high-volume chains, independent restaurants, and many other applications. Check out our medium and heavy-duty lineup and our other product offerings on the Vulcan website.